Time is of the essence. Every moment on your channel of champions. Sponsored by Total Quartz Lubricants.
The Telefonica Dakar continues. Stage 8 is underway today, but many people still in yesterday's stage. They've had a night out in the desert en route to Tchit. Absolute massive casualties out there in the stage as the sun rose over them 24 hours later. Today's stage from Tchit to Tachika has been cancelled. So we're going to have a look back at what we missed after last night's broadcast. So these are images taken after 5 o'clock or so last night, and we're going to cover the next 12 or 13 hours from here on in. Yesterday's stage from Surat to Tchit, well, it was a difficult one to say the least. 660 kilometers, and even then you meet someone going the other way. At the beginning of yesterday's stage, 186 motorcycles started it, and this was one of many to go out. Fortunately for this rider, the medical crew's immediately on hand. A big mess made with the motorcycle. Jose Manuel Perez from Spain, a big off. The helicopter doctors immediately on the scene as fellow competitors wishing him well. And immediately the medical assistants whisking him off to the end of the stage and the safety of the field hospital. We're on board here with Eric Krokolos. As you can see, going over the dunes, they're so difficult because you just can't really see what's the other side. One rider goes one way and Eric going the other. He says, where is he going? A lot of sand. A lot of sand. He's looking around, he's looking around. And then inevitable happens. Disappears behind the dune off the helicam. And then as the dunes get softer and softer, whoa, the front just goes in. And it's his first crash of the day, he says. Fortunately, only a small tumble. It makes me think about my rally. Oh, his friend, Gilou. on is the similar Euromaster machine. That's what makes us a team. We both fall in unison. Can you imagine 660 kilometers such as that? This is one of the trucks that's gone over. Fortunately, the broom wagon being able to wrench it back onto at least its side. That's one of the Estonian service trucks that has taken a tumble big time. This guy's saying, I'm just trying to get the bike back onto its wheels, but I've hurt my back. Really injured. I think that's it. I think I'm not going to go any further. People absolutely banjaxed beyond all measure of even their imagination. This guy having a clutch failure. So they're taking all of the clutch plates out of the machine and gonna get on and fix it. Just to put things into perspective, at about this time, at the end of the stage, there may be only about 35 or 40 bikes actually having crossed the finish line. And the finish line from here was miles away. And when I say miles, I'm talking 250 miles or so. We're on board here with Elodie Mech, daughter of René Mech, former victor of the Dakar. Why so much dust? Why so much sand?
Alors, la totale, en plus du vent de sable, il pleut.
She says it's raining. Incredible. We've probably got better weather back home in Paris.
Pareil, à Paris, il fait meilleur.
You cannot believe it. There's Elodie calling the notes from the co-driver's seat. And here, one of the racing trucks making the fatal error. The Czech Republic team getting stuck in the sand. This is Karel Leprace, former victor of the Dakar in the truck section, getting stuck in the sand, whilst Clive Town from the UK attending Patsy Quick, getting the bike alongside so that they can jump the batteries one to the other, and then Patsy's bike.
No battery. Every time I have to jump start it.
Every time they've got to jump start it. And some of these KTMs not having a kick start, and then the thing gets bogged down. Asking our cameraman, can you please give me a push? And strong Patsy getting that bike back onto its wheels, continuing with her what she hopes to be lucky number 100, the same number that took Hubert Auriol to victory in the Dakar in years past. Here's Vladimir Chagin with his Kamaz, a mechanical problem forcing him to lose precious time, and he's taking radical parts of the engine apart. Yeah, that's the cylinder head that he's taken off. And the glories of modern technology enabling him to ring with a satellite phone from the middle of nowhere back to base. Back to Russia. Seems a long way away from here. Now here is Ari Vatanen. He's got a lot of speed up here at the moment. One of two Works Nissan still in the rally after the demise of Colin McRae, but 24 hours earlier than yesterday. So Vatanen and Janil de Villiers still in the rally. De Villiers getting to the finish at about 9 o'clock last night when there were only 8 cars at the finish at that particular moment in time. Here's Grégoire de Mavius. Here we are with Grégoire, the Belgian, saying we still got all sorts of problem, where they actually lost the rear brake caliper off the rear left end of the car. Here's Jan de Roy, father of Gerard, trying to hold the rear axle together with the straps, trying to keep that prop shaft somehow engaged.
It's tough because each leg is very, very, very long, and you lose a lot of energies, and you lose concentration, and that's the way because the car is so hard. is the last, really the last adventure in this world.
Other people deciding to take a bit of a break along the side of the stage. He says, for sure I'm going to come back to Dakar. I want to live there one day. I want to somehow get there. And then they're getting their emergency blanket out. Gold, the best reflector of heat and energy known to man. And they're making a little bit of their own bivouac somehow between the two machines. Here's Jean-Louis Schlesser, sidelined along yesterday's stage, the stage from Zurat to Chit. Rear end problem with the drive shaft, he says. We've got a problem with the hub, with the whole upright really at this end. What we want to do is wait for the service truck. Even if our car is still able to run, the problem is only going to get worse and worse. So we'd prefer to stay here rather than get stuck in the deep dunes. Then his teammate arrives, Servia. He says, where's the service truck? Servia getting out to see if he can help Schles, but Schles, he's a wily old fox. He knows what he's doing. He's been there, done that, and as soon as he realizes that Servia can't really help him anymore, he says, go on, get on with your own rally. You keep going, don't worry about me, I'll wait for the truck. Just to remind you, 137 cars started yesterday's stage, and as of the time of this broadcast, only 81 have arrived. Here's Jean Brucy, and even he has got no strength left to keep that motorcycle upright. So this was at twilight last night. Other people absolutely desperate to get water down them. Desperation setting in, and here we are with four-time Dakar victor Ari Vatanen. Now he's got a massive problem with his transmission. Tiziano Siviero just pulling the Nissan down the dune. That is human power, getting that car down the dune. Now here is the first person to the finish of the stage, Stefan Pennehansel, getting to the end of the stage into Chit, and then the next Carolon, Luc Alphonse. Luc Alphonse saying at the finish, we knew it'd be a difficult stage, but at this point I never would have guessed it was going to be this hard. It's already late that night, and I think there's only maybe 4 of us here at the moment. I think there's a lot of privateers, amateurs are going to stay in that dust tonight. So hard, so hard. Other people at the control points getting water, getting a little bit of food, and other people saying, well, it's just maybe even too hard.
On n'a pas eu galère, une fuite d'huile et pas de pain.
It's finished, he says. It's finished, says this car competitor. Word coming in from many of the drivers out on the stage that it was just like a graveyard. Everywhere they went, there were bikes everywhere. Astrid Pichigran saying there's a problem with the GPS, but even then it says that there's 300 kilometers still more to go. And other people staying en masse. Look at that sand, look at the wind, look at the dust. Can you imagine a night out in the desert? Astrid continuing saying, although she's tired, I'm happy because I'm here, but it's so dirty out there. The trucks were almost running us over, absolutely crazy. I was trying to grab a little bit of sleep on the side of the stage, on the stones. Crazy, trucks everywhere. Some people, though, just getting delirious. $186 bikes starting the stage yesterday. 40 of them still in the stage as we speak.
Drive like this, but it's okay. We don't have any problem, and we study. I think our strategy good until now. We finished third here.
Nasser Al-Attiyah currently 4th in the overall standings, some 23 minutes behind the overall leader. Only a minute and a half covering 2nd, 3rd and 4th in the car section at the moment. Now here's Eric Verhoff. Get a load of this.
I had a great day, but at CP2 I only get 20 liters of fuel, which is ridiculous. I pay the full price, on the first CP it's only 150 kilometers to the next one. I think less. And I say, I need more to make a finish. No, only 20 liters, Mr. Zaniroli says. Well, he's crazy, because I can't make it with 20 liters. I was in the middle of the desert with no fuel.
That's one of the overriding problems in the last 12 hours. The problem of fuel at the last control point. That's the word coming in from the drivers, the riders and the truck drivers. And whilst others were grabbing a little bit of dinner in the bivouac, others still out there in the desert. He says, at the finish, he says, the last 70 kilometers, so difficult. We're so very tired, but we've got here and we're going to continue. Back at one of the control points, still 260 kilometers to go. That's over 150 miles. And this guy's saying, why is it always that they put a CP in the softest sand available? We stop, and then of course we get stuck in the sand. Well, just to recap for Australia, Andy Caldicott in the bike section. He's third overall, only 5 minutes and 39 seconds back of the overall leader on the bikes. His teammate David Schwartz from South Australia in 37th position overall on his KTM 450 with support from KTM Australia. Well done to David as a rookie, and Andy, I can tell you, is doing a sterling job.
He wasn't shining down on me today, but we'll get there.
Patsy Quick giving a push off just to get her KTM rolling, and she does get it rolling. Here's Robbie Gordon at the finish.
It was very tough, and we're just happy to be here.
And what were your main troubles? Dunes, navigation,
fuel,
grass, everything?
Fuel. We were almost out of fuel. Finished with 1 liter when we got back. Very close to running out.
Fuel, and even less fuel. That has been the word of people still coming into the finish at the end of probably what has been the hardest stage ever of the Dakar in its 27 years of running. Well, the Tunisian crew managed to get in as the sandstorm got even worse overnight into Chit. The conditions absolutely unbelievable. Andrea Meyer, she managed to get to the finish on the end of a tow rope. And then she was going to be pulled into Parc Fermé. Remember, it was a marathon stage. They pulled her car without her even being in it. But at this stage, you can only laugh. She says, we've run out of fuel. We were stopped only about 8 kilometers before the end of the stage, but there was no one there to tow us into the finish. It was impossible to be towed by a car as the sand is so soft. The first few trucks didn't stop to help us, but then finally we saw this truck who was part of my service crew when I was riding a bike for BMW. He towed us to the finish, and we are here.
Andy Anderson.
Oh, I've seen your column, Andy. What are you working on now?
How to lose a guy in...
So today's stage, from Chit over to Tajika, a regular route that's been done for about the last 20 years of the Dakar. Some big spectacular passes to be made, but the stage has been cancelled after the backlog of competitors still in the stage of 24 hours ago. The stage has been cancelled. It is only a road section. Dawn this morning. This is at the third control point. This is still 260 kilometers away from the finish. That's about 155 odd miles. And as the sandstorm got greater and greater with its ferocity, the guy who made the route, Patrick Zanaroli, on the satellite telephone back to base saying it's not possible for us to move at the moment. We're going to wait for about an hour or so, see if the sun comes up, and maybe the weather conditions are going to be a little more favourable. We will wait and see. The broom wagon arrived, the ominous sign of the very last vehicle to literally sweep people up off the Dakar stage, as then the helicopters decided it was safe enough to take to the skies. Only 2 helicopters making it to Chit 24 hours ago, the rest of them being grounded out there in the stage. And just as the camels do, they travel in a caravan, so did many of the amateurs with their motorcycles. They all stuck together. Their provisions may have been low, but the sand in their boots was high. He says, we've got no fuel, no food, no drink, nothing. We chose to sleep here all together and wait till dawn. But there's still another 150 kilometers still to go. He says, well, we're okay now, but last night it was just hell. The storm was so cold, it was so windy, and then it rained. Absolutely unbelievable. The cold, that was the hardest thing of all, but you've got to give him credit. Look at the smile on his face, fair play, as he gets going. Other trucks being brought back to their wheels, as the sad story of the Vol on Dakar that we brought you 24 hours ago, the young rookies who were chosen in a competition in France having problems with their car. Trucks, of course, everybody's best friend. But in the overall truck section, Kabirov leads overall some 1 hour and 37 minutes ahead of Hans Becks. Yoshi Sugawara with his Hino is in 3rd position overall, some 3 hours and 32 minutes behind the overall leader Kabirov. In the bike section, Mark Comer continues to lead, only just 16 seconds ahead of Frenchman Cyril Desprez. Australian Andy Caldicott 3rd overall. Equal on time with South Africa's Alfie Cox, some 5 minutes 39 seconds back of Comer. It's very tight at the top of the bike section. Fabrizio Mioni 5th, David Fretinier 6th, Pal Anders Olavarseta in 7th. Meanwhile, back to the cars. Here is Ari Vatanen, still having problems with the transmission on his Nissan pickup. No problem with the engine. It means he's still got power going to the servo, so he's still got brakes whilst he's being towed back in at the behind one of the trucks, and he has taken over 24 hours to do the stage. Here's Christian Leviel and Christian Chopin. They are stuck out on the stage this morning, still with no fuel in their Nissan. Christian Chopin, working for French television and having been a journalist on the Dakar in years before, negotiating with the Mauritanian army here for a little bit more fuel. And the guy's saying, well, you've got to really do with the fuel that you can. But Christian, ever the journalist, negotiating just 10 litres more. 10 litres more fuel, and that'll hopefully get him just a little further towards Tichit. Well done. And with that 10 litres more fuel, they managed to get going. The 2 Christians continuing. The view over to Chit this morning as the sandstorm continued. Just outside the small town, the bivouac was positioned as many of the competitors swamped round a very, very welcome breakfast. Other people grabbing little sleep they could get. Here is Etienne Levine, the boss of the Dakar, saying, at the moment we've got 90 bikes in, 53 cars and 25 trucks. The second problem, though, is that the helicopters cannot get into the air. The conditions now are worse than they were last night. And when we've got this kind of problem, we think it's only reasonable that we stop today's stage.
I've been here 7 or 8 years now, and it's the same. We've had this before. Nothing has changed. It's a typical very tough day of the Dakar, and normally always before the rest day. I don't know if it's a normal procedure, but more than 50% of the field is gone by the rest day, and that's exactly what happened yesterday.
Donc c'est un peu dommage pour
Luc Alphonse saying it's bad for us because we're ready, we're okay for the next stage. We can make a difference on the next stage, but what about the amateurs behind us? Jutta Kleinschmidt saying it's a good thing this stage today has been cancelled because many amateurs in the rally, and we've got to give them a chance to get on, to stay in the rally. That's why I'm happy for these guys that they can continue. Continue that they did, but still, at the time of this broadcast, 40 bikes still in the stage, 46 cars still in the stage, and 22 trucks still in the stage.
In this time of great need, the world cricketing community